No, I'm not lucky, I'm blessed. Yes, clap for the heavyweight champ, me. But I couldn't do it all alone.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the I Am Not Lucky, I Am Blessed podcast, the show where we celebrate young entrepreneurs and their achievements, and then we teach up and coming entrepreneurs how to make profits using their passion. And as usual, I'm your host, Lucky the Most. Enjoy the show. So today is episode number 39. Impressive. Woo. I'll give myself a clap for that. And as usual, I have a special guest in the building, an amazing friend of mine. I've known this beautiful lady for a year now, and it's amazing how, who she is, her passion. She has an incredible passion that I think, I want us to talk about. She loves working with kids, teaching kids. That's what she loves doing. Like, literally, that's what she will go to school to study and do. And when I first heard it, I was like, why would someone love something like that? But it's not just like she's saying it. It's really coming from the inside. And that's how, like, I got to relate with her and we became friends. Without even making any further introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the one and only TaNaizha Willis.
Hi, everyone.
Did I say your last name right?
Yes.
T. Willis. How's it going, T?
It's well. How are you?
Can't complain. TaNaizha has been on this podcast once. Wine Wednesday. She's laughing. The story was very funny. We did an episode and then someone didn't record the video.
Who was that someone?
I don't know who was supposed to do that video part, but we should an whole episode. Got the audio.
Everything.
She looked amazing. Same as she does today, but like there was no video.
No video.
I knew there was no video the moment the podcast ended, but I couldn't tell her.
Couldn't tell me. Not until the next morning.
It took me a while to tell you, okay? Look, because I was like, how do I tell someone that, look, there's no video?
Hey, and all you hear is just us.
It's just us. So, I mean, at the end, I was like, it is what it is. You just have to, say it. And
the ball keeps rolling.
Yeah, then I just, hit her with the, hey, good news. I was like, the next morning, like, we did the podcast, but I don't know what happened, but there was no video. But, she was really understanding. Hey,
I was.
Gotcha. So, before we start the podcast, I always love to kind of like start with a question. Very simple. Do you think you're lucky or you're blessed?
Definitely say I'm blessed. Ooh. Not lucky at all. To be very transparent, I don't really believe in luck.
Wow.
I don't believe in luck. But I do believe in being blessed. And I definitely can say that I for sure am blessed and like far from lucky.
Far from lucky.
I
mean, you're close to lucky.
I'm pretty close to lucky, but as far as me being blessed or lucky, I'm definitely going with blessed for sure.
That's cool.
Yes.
So everybody I get on this podcast, like, I'm not lucky. Everyone keeps running away from lucky, but I'm like, you're sitting next to lucky.
We're not too far.
You're not too far from lucky. So, but yeah, I 100% agree. Why? Why do you think you're lucky, or why do you feel you're lucky? I mean, blessed and not lucky.
Wow, that was a good question.
Yeah.
I definitely feel as though I am more blessed primarily because like just things that I have experienced in life, like for example, any trial or any obstacle or challenge I was ever put into.
Yeah.
I didn't make it out because I was lucky. No, definitely didn't make it out of that situation because I was lucky, more because I was blessed. I had my faith in that everything was going to be okay. I believed that everything was going to be okay. I was never like, oh my goodness, let me see how lucky I can be and get through the situation.
Facts.
Definitely not. For sure, blessed. Absolutely.
That's nice. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so moving on. You mind introducing yourself to the audience? Who you are and what you do.
So my name is TaNaizha. As of right now, what I do is I work for a concierge while also maintaining going to school. Graduate in 3 weeks with an education degree. I know it's been a very long time coming.
Great job, T.
Graduating from Lesley University. So my major is education with a minor in social work. So just getting the both backgrounds in both of those different subjects. So that's kind of what I do right now. However, I do have plans to move to Georgia and further my career, although I'm not sure if I told you my career is changing. Yeah. And my career is changing. I'm changing into going into nursing.
Okay.
Back into the medical field, but with children because I love children so much.
Gotcha.
And I'm glad I'm able to even take this route because if nursing doesn't work out for me, I
You
do
can
have an
still
education degree
education
to where I
degree.
can bounce back either one.
Yeah.
But my main focus is working with children. Just being around children, working with children, whether if it's in education or whether it's being a nurse.
A nurse, yeah.
With my nursing, I do want to be a certified nurse practitioner
Gotcha.
in the pediatric department. Still working with children.
Children, yeah.
You know, so children have always just been my main goal to work with, no matter what the field, whether even if it's social work. Like if I don't want to do nursing or teaching,
Yeah.
I can get into social work because that's what my minor is.
Yeah.
So I have the autonomy to do either one of
Either
those
one of
three
those three,
when
yeah.
they all involve with children.
That's good.
Yeah.
How did you come up with this whole plan? Like, you know?
As far as children itself,
Yeah.
So children for me have always been like top priority. Like even when I was in high school, my summer jobs were always working as a camp counselor with children.
Yeah.
I tried to be the person to children that I wanted.
Okay.
If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
You wanted someone to be that person for you, but there was no one. So
yes. So now
yeah.
that I didn't have no one, I want to be that person to them. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that person that can motivate them, give them advice, be there for them when they don't have anybody else
Yeah.
there. Like that's what I want to be for children because children are innocent, you know.
True.
Children, they don't ask to be put through many of the situations that they have been put through.
Yeah.
It just happens, and I just want to be there for those children in either one of those
circumstance or situation.
whether if it's a social work situation or if it's
Yeah.
a teaching situation or if it's a sick situation. I kind of want to be there for the child or any children in general, just to be there for them, to know that someone is here with you to help you, to be here for you.
Yeah.
So children have just always been like for me.
It's interesting you say that because last week Galen and I were at Starbucks and then we came across this lady and she was telling us how she was so passionate with kids, but like special need kids, because she was one of them. You get me right? And she felt like she didn't get that. So what she wanted and no one did it for her was what she wanted to do for kids.
Yes.
And she improved a lot. Like she was a special need kid and she went through special kind of things that like right now she didn't tell you. You would never know she was one of the like, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's like kids that go through situations like that can be better, can, you know, there's a lot for them out there, but you know, they just need to work with the right kind of person. She felt like she was going to dedicate her life to doing things like that, you know, helping. I was like, wow, like just hearing her speak about how passionate she was about, you know, being with kids, and I was like, oh, I like this because I told Maria that you were going to come on the podcast, and you know, I was like, oh wow, that's really powerful, because I'm going to have TaNaizha on the podcast and she's going to talk about like how much she loved being with kids, because like, you met the first day we met.
Yes.
This was the first conversation.
I was at the concert. Yeah, you walked in looking for Garland.
Yep. And then I don't know what happened. I think because wherever I meet, I always love to, you know what they, not their job, but like what they love to do. You get me right? Because that's how I tell people, not based on what you do for a living, but like what your purpose is and what you really want to do. So I remember you told me how you first wanted to go into something criminal or something.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I wanted to do a 10 million different things.
Yeah,
I wanted to be so I first started off out of graduating high school. I wanted to be a registered nurse.
Yeah,
wanted to do that. Then I wanted to go and be a detective for
yes.
the Special Victims Unit
because
I've been watching Law and Order since I was 9 years old. And I'm like, I want to do that. Yeah. I changed so many, but I was definitely registered nurse. Detective. Yeah. Then it was a pediatrician. Yeah. And then while in college, I was introduced to children. Like my internships I've done. Yeah. I'm like, oh my goodness, I want to be with children. But I'm just like, okay, here I am once again, changing it once again. But just still maintaining that love that I have for children while working with them.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So what was your first experience like when you got introduced to children at the internship? So when was it and what was it like?
So I was a sophomore in college. Yeah. Sophomore in college, and the internship was called Generation Teach. Okay. It was my first teaching experience for children. I was a 5th grade math teacher. And let's just say they gave me a run for my money. It gave me a run for my money. There were times where I literally cried. Yeah. I was so stressed out because this is my first time being introduced to children in that aspect. Yeah. Teaching them, being a lead teacher. So I was a lead teacher for 6 weeks. I had the option to choose between different majors or different grade that I wanted. The grades were between 5th grade and 8th grade. Yeah. You can choose math, So engineering, reading. There was one more that I just social studies.
Social studies, okay.
Social studies, history, and I love math. Math and reading are more for me. I'm not much of the history. No, not at all. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to do it. I want to take the youngest ones so far because I like the young kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, the youngest ones, what I love, 5th graders, and then math. Let's do it. Before you actually, so it's entire 8-week program. You're spending 2 weeks doing actually training before you're put into the classroom by yourself for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
However, you do have your coach in the back in the classroom. She'll pop in every day, take notes, and make sure like what you're doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So the first time I had went in, I did it. I'm like, okay, I can get used to this. I went in my very first class, and I was like, whoa. I had about 12 children.
How old were they?
5th graders. They were
okay.
5th graders, 12 children, and my first class was okay. It was my second class. We taught 3 academic classes and then 2 elective classes. My elective was painting. So within my first class was good. It was the second class that got to me. I remember teaching like in front of the board, writing the instructions down, and I got kids throwing pencils. I have kids getting up and chase. So I had a set of cousins in there. Yeah. They were boy cousins, and I will never forget this. I turned my back to write something on the board. A pencil flies across the room. I didn't know until they screamed. And then the 2 cousins got up. They chased each other around the room. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. So I'm like, have a seat. Sit down. We're not doing this. That didn't work. No. Did not work. I called for help. I said, I need help. Someone please come and help me. I have kids running around. The help came. Said it, everything. Like, it was cool for about 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah.
Only 10 minutes. One of the cousins decided that he wanted to show the class his toes, took his shoes and his socks off, and smacked his foot on the desk, and was counting his toes as if he didn't know how many he had. So my first year, it gave me a run. Like, I've cried numerous times. Yeah. It gave me a run for my money, but I didn't give up. Yeah. Although it was hard, I did not give up. Did it again the second year.
Oh, you did it again second?
Oh, I did it total of 3 times. 3 times. The first year, no, it was bad. Second year, I was able to get a grip, get a handle, and actually approach things differently. So, first year was 5th grade math. Second year was 6th grade math. Age different for sure. It was I was able to notice the maturity level. However, some of my 5th graders were also my 6th graders because it was the same year. Yeah. It was the same year. But I was able to see how some of them had matured, even just within 1 year. Yeah. Within that class, I had 3 classes still. Elective was still painting. I had no more than 7 students. Because within the internship, they only use they take children from different charter schools around Boston. Yeah. At it's a selected a maximum number that they can have there.
Gotcha.
So there were about 22 of us teachers, but there were a good handful of students. So my second year, much better. I was able to approach things differently. This is where I learned the difference within myself as well. Yeah. Being authoritative. Okay. It helps. Okay. My first year, they ran over me.
They ran over you. Yeah, they were controlling
between
you.
the pencils and they ran over me. Yeah. Second year, I was not having that. Okay. We're not doing that. Nope. Oh, wow. Because I was able to learn, like, through all of, like, the coaching within, like, the numerous days of crying. I'm like, I am not about to cry this year. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Oh, so within my second year, it was amazing. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. I built so many good relationships with all of my students. They all loved me. Yeah. I even had some kids running out of their own class to barge into mine. Say, Miss T, can I come in here? I'm like, no, you can't come in here. I'll see you later, though. So the second year was amazing. I learned so much. I learned patience. Mm-hmm. Patience, because with children, you have to be patient. Gotcha. Patience. And I learned to be authoritative. That helps. By the time my third year came, it was a breeze. However, I went 2 grades up in an entire different subject. I did 8th grade reading. With the 8th graders, I can definitely say that was the best group of kids that I have ever had because we were able to relate to each other. Yeah. With 8th graders, there were an abundance of different personalities. And also, I seen different struggles that each one of them had. Like, I had one kid, he came to me and he was basically just saying to me how, like, his mom was sick. and how we were having a conversation. Like my dad died when I was 6 years old, so I was able to help him and even like provide advice to him. I had one student who was having boy problems. I don't really have too many boy problems, but I know how to handle certain things like that. So I was helping her out. You know, you wouldn't believe that 8th graders have boy problems. But hey, to each his own, you know.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, and then also having a group of girls with so much drama who wants to fight. Now I was a very rebellious child.
Okay.
So I had my dips and dabbles in the drama when I was a little girl. So I was able to help her. So with 8th graders, I had so much respect for them. They had so much respect for me. I didn't even have to be as authoritative as I was with the 6th graders. Although they knew I'm not playing no games. We're gonna do X, Y, and Z, and we can have fun. Like, it's about being good balance. Balance, yeah. You gotta be authoritative, but also have fun. Like, this is not school; it's really like a camp, like a school camp. So they're here to have fun too. So you gotta make sure you have that balance. Like, I have videos on my phone where I have my kids. We're playing a game, and we have them. They're on the desk. I'm okay with that because they're not hurting each other. They're not being disrespectful. I have one they want to sit on the floor. Like, you know what I mean? Like, with kids, you have to just be patient and just remember what you wanted at that age. You know what I mean? Yeah. I wanted someone to just give me choice. Like, I don't want to sit here and do X, Y, and Z because they told me to do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. You gotta have choice with children. So it was a great experience. Yeah. I would definitely do it again for sure. It was amazing. I was going to do it last year, but then COVID came and just smacked everything around. But I'm grateful for the 3 years that I did have to do with it. I learned so much with children.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. A couple of things that you spoke about there that I'm like, oh, you learned that with kids, like you said, being authoritative. You understand, right? And also, knowing that balance, when to be and when not to be, when to be friendly, because this is not with you too. Even with parents, we think, we just want to love, and yes. Whatever they say, yes. Whatever they say, yes. And it gets to a point where they get out of hand. You get, right? There's some parents that can't even tell their kids no. They feel hot when they tell their kids. They literally cry if they see their kids going through. They want to cry, and that's out of love too. But at the same time, you're spoiling the kid.
Yes, being very permissive.
Permissive, yeah. So at what stage, when did you realize that you need to change your approach on dealing with these kids?
Oh, when I was going home crying every day. I knew, and then I knew, okay, well, this is not what I want to do. This is not. I'm like, well. Okay, if I'm going home and I'm crying every single day and I'm getting frustrated, I'm like, okay, I gotta change. Something has to change. Like, why am I letting little 10-year-olds tell me what to do or make me cry? That's just not how it's gonna happen. We can have a balance where we both have respect for one another while having fun. So my next year, I approached it so differently. Like, we're not doing that. And I set my ground rules from the beginning. Yeah. And you can also, you don't have to have like a mean voice, but just like your tone just got to be, no, this is not what we're doing. We'll do this after we do this part. Yeah. It's got to just be direct, be very authoritative, but just also in a respectful way as well. Because you can be respectful and direct. You can be direct and not hurt anyone's feelings. Like, how make children feel some kind of way. That's true. You just got to make sure that you're just setting the tone across the board and just ground rules from the beginning. Gotcha. And you got to be consistent with those rules.
Yeah. I like that. You got to be consistent with those rules. Yeah. and also, like, so they knew that you have the power to make them do what they know, but they just want to try you. And then if you fall, bro, you
see, the first year they got me, but the second year, because I was the same, I had so many of the same kids that were in the program the same 2 years, like all 3 years. Yeah. They kind of know, Miss T don't play. We knew not to do that with her. So they know what to do because I was there for 3 years and those were the same kids also. Yeah. So they knew, like, we learned each other, essentially. We learned each other, yes. True.
That's really interesting, because you love, even with the way you deal with your younger sister, so I have little ones, you understand, right? But how much you cherish and like just adore and just talk about how you still obsessed with that at this age. I say that and I'm just like, I sometimes like, but I just, I respect it, it's really cool. So for me, just like, you don't just, it's not just even outside kids. You love kids in general, yours and not yours, and everyone. That's really interesting.
Because the kids are, kids are innocent. They deserve they deserve all love. Like, honestly, kids didn't ask to be here, but they're here. You know what I mean? And they're innocent, so they are children deserve everything. like everything, all the love, all the proper guidance. They deserve everything in order to become the best person that they can be. They deserve it all.
That's true.
They deserve it all.
That's
also,
true.
while just let them know what you can and what you cannot do.
What you can and what you cannot do. Yeah.
Which is still coming from a place of love, depending on how you deliver it.
Deliver, yeah.
Like
yeah.
I think with children, delivery is a really big thing.
Yeah.
You can't excuse me.
Yeah.
You can't be, how do you put it? You can't talk to children as if you're talking to your friends. Like there's two total different age levels, minds, two different ways. You need to come from a place of care and love and respect when you're speaking with almost anyone, but with children, you got to be more sensitive because they are children.
That's true.
They're growing. You don't want to speak to them in a way that's discouraging or that's like belittling them, because they're kids.
They're kids.
It's about how you go about certain things. And even I can say one thing that bothers me the most with even like parents and their children is parents who hit their kids. Bothers me the opposite. Like I grew up getting spanked. I'm almost 24. I grew up getting spanked. Like that was just I went to go pick my own Switch. I went to go get the shoe. I was getting spanked. And to be honest, it worked for me.
Yeah.
But it will not work for every child. It will not. Like I think one thing I've learned, like even having my sister who we're 12 years apart.
Yeah.
She would get the little pop on her hand when she would touch the stove or plug in things to pop. Sure, maybe. But as she's gotten older, I don't even yell at her. We have a like if you're mad, why are you upset? Let's talk about it. What got you there? How do we prevent it? How do we fix it? I think children just need that type of dialogue to where they're not, go to your room, get the belt, X, Y, and Z. And I think that's what actually gets me so upset. It's like people who just hit their kids for a sense of discipline or punishment. No, that's just not how it works.
Oh, wow.
It's not how it works. Because, you can, a kid tosses this glass. You spank him. Okay, that stopped that for a minute. What makes you think tomorrow he won't do that same glass?
He will.
Absolutely.
100%.
Because he doesn't know why it's wrong. He knows that, I'm going to get a spanking for it. It's going to last about 5 minutes. Do it again. But if you sit here and say, hey, you don't want to do this because it can break, someone can step on it, people can hurt themselves. Yeah. He'll know, okay, well, this is why I should not do that. A spanking, okay, I got spanked. Okay.
So
next day, boop.
Boom. He just been spanked without the reason or like knowing what's wrong. And
he just knows, okay, well, I got hit for doing that.
I got hit for doing that. Maybe that's the switch. Yeah. And then he get used to being hit, and then
it's like, okay, well, now it doesn't hurt no more. Now I'm going to go do everything. I'm going to knock everything down.
Yeah.
But if you actually tell this child, hey, why that's wrong and why you should not do that, it'll click in their head, okay, well, damn, I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want nobody else to be around here bleeding. Once they actually know why something is wrong or why they shouldn't do it prior to just hitting them, it'll make a big difference. But I think a lot of parents, are just very young. A lot of parents, it's a repeated cycle.
Yeah.
They were spanked, let me spank my kids. You know what I mean? It worked for me, maybe it'll work for them, which is not true.
It didn't even work for me.
No.
It didn't work. It worked just to a point. I just realized that, okay, I actually realized by my own self that what I'm doing wasn't good. You get me, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't because my dad or my mom. I mean, trust me, my dad, like, if we go back to, childhood, my dad was known for spanking kids. Like, excuse me. In the whole where we lived, the city, like, they would bring kids for him to spank. He was like he was the disciplinary guy. Yeah, man, that was his position back home.
Wow.
Yes. So literally, like, kids, if you fuck up, your mom would just send you to my dad and
get a spanking.
Not just a spanking, like, get you really, really, really spanked. You get right. Man. If you steal, that's what he does. Like, he has the group of people that did it. So imagine his own kids. Like, my dad was so good, like, so actively spanking his own kids that my brothers weren't. They didn't respect him. They feared him.
And you don't want that from a person who you're supposed to love. And be a caregiver.
There was no love.
You don't want that.
There was no love. Like, literally, if they hear my dad coming up the stairs,
scared.
Everyone runs. Like, everyone just runs into, like, just run away. Don't let him see you, because where you're standing might be he might find something like, why you not reading, why you standing there, why you doing this, why you not doing that, get you spanked, like, and it got to a point where lives felt like because of my younger ones were actually playing, And this is a very funny, sad story. So my brothers, elder brothers, were playing on the balcony, and the balcony was broken, but they kind of like hooked it up with something. So they were playing football there, and my dad has warned them not to play football. But like at that age, it's what they love to do, and
Kids.
yeah, they read and then they play football and stuff like that. So when they saw my dad coming, they all just ran for their life because they knew if my dad caught them, he would just spank the shit out of them, So they didn't want to get spanked. So in process of them running away, one of them, like, it was like a life or death run. Like, we don't want him to see us, So
Right.
everyone was just running for their lives, and they accidentally hit my brother to the balcony. He fell off the balcony. I swear to God, he fell off the balcony, landed on the floor. But now the thing was, so the last floor, there's a guy that was was doing fridges and all that. So he was repairing fridges. So there was a fridge that was open. So my brother fell into it. In there. That was on a Saturday. Okay? So my brother was in there. The guy doesn't work on Saturday, doesn't work on Sunday, works only on Monday. So my father came in, everyone just went about it. They acted like nothing happened. They didn't even know my brother fell.
Oh God.
Because they don't want to say they were playing football
On
and
the
then,
balcony.
because they were gonna get
Everyone's
spanked.
gonna get in trouble.
Yep. So everyone just moved on. They thought he was good. They thought he left too. And that day was over. Like they were like, where did he go? No one knew. Everyone just kept quiet. I swear to God. So it was like, where did this guy go? Where did Henry go? And then kept asking it. And then finally, some of them said the last time we saw him was we were playing there, and then everyone ran away. We never saw him. So when they went to the balcony, they discovered that the balcony had broken, and then looked down. That was like the next day. He was passed out. He passed out in the fridge, just like that. So they had to go take him to the hospital, rush him, and long story short, he made it. But it was like a die-minute situation. Like if they hadn't brought him at that point, doctors like, this guy is like lucky to be alive. If you guys hadn't brought him at this point, he would have. If he had stayed any more hours in that spot, slept, he would have died. So that just to tell you how spanking is really, really,
Yes.
like, for
They
real.
feared your father, and that
Feared
could have
my
cost
father.
your brother's life.
Until date, we don't have
Yeah.
that connection with my father because of we didn't love him. It was all just spanking and spanking and spanking,
Yes.
and yeah.
And that's usually what it is. Like when if you have someone like your parents are supposed to just provide you so much love and
Yes.
everything. Like you're supposed to look up to them as like some people even look at their parents as superheroes. You know what I mean?
That's true.
But if you're looking, how can you look up to someone who's constantly hurting you, causing you physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain, like that stuff? Like, no, you don't get love. Like you only think, okay, well, this person does not love me because he's always hitting me for everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some people bring it to extreme where they're literally hitting and they're causing bruises.
Causing bruises, yeah.
They're causing pain that lasts a couple of days. It's like, how can you want that from someone you're supposed to look up to and who's supposed to be a caregiver or a parent to you? And that's the problem. So I'm like, I'm against hitting kids. I'm against it. Like and honestly,
Yeah.
I did not learn any of this until I started going to school for education. Because again, like growing up, I was spanked. I'm like, okay, well, it worked for me. Like
It didn't even work for you.
Did it work for me? It worked for me to an extent, but I can say what really, because again, I was a really rebellious child.
Okay.
Like my childhood was crazy.
Then you must have got really, really a lot of spanking.
I did.
Because the level
I
of
did.
how rebellious you are is the level they spank you. Because they're not like, she's getting used to this, so we have to increase the volume of the spank.
Yes, like I was constantly fighting, constantly suspended from school. I would get spankings. I would be placed in the corner for hours. Oh my God, I would be on punishment, no TV. I couldn't go outside.
Damn.
I was spanked. And excuse me. And where was I going with that?
We're talking about loving your kids and not spanking them. Because that's
yes.
not gonna...
Okay. So, and what changed me?
Yeah. What
So
changed
yes,
you? Yeah.
I was very rebellious, always spanking. It worked to an extent, but I can say what really changed me as a person was when my little sister was born.
Oh.
We're 12 years apart. Like that's like we go outside. They say, "Oh, is that your daughter?" No, just my sister. She changed me because I did not want her to grow up doing the things that I had done.
Oh wow.
Always fighting, always being suspended, being very. Like, it was so bad. I called my teacher a bitch one day.
Oh wow.
I got my ass beat. You know what I mean? I didn't want her to go through any of that, any of the spankings, any of the disrespect, none of it. So I just became the best person I could have been for her. Now, I'm not gonna say I never was suspended while she was here. I still got in trouble, but my severity was not as bad as it was before she was here.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like if you were to ask her today, I talk to her all the time. I definitely can say that she looks up to me now. Like she tells me that she wants to be an OBGYN and the judge. I don't know how you can make them both happen, but she's gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
She's gonna make it happen, and I can honestly say because she looks up to me a lot. Someone who I'm the first high school graduate out of my family. First one to go into college.
Yeah.
So she knows this. She sees it, and I'm definitely am grateful because I think if I did not change, she probably would have been just like me. Because at her age, I was very rebellious. She's 11. I was very rebellious.
Gotcha.
Very bad.
Gotcha.
And I'm grateful that I have changed my ways because if I didn't, she would have been like me.
That's true.
So I'm happy that she's just not, and she's definitely helped me change for sure.
Wow, that's nice. That's nice. That was deep though. But what made you change? Majors and all of that. Like, why did you choose this new major that you're in?
So it's okay. So I decided this last month,
Okay.
a month before I graduated. I was like, okay. So I love kids a lot. But can I honestly see myself teaching kids for the next 40 plus years? I can't, primarily because one of my practicum was with third graders.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, okay, if I teach these kids for the rest of my life, I'm going to be exhausted while trying to have my own kids. So it's like, okay, do I want to do this for 8 hours a day, possibly have my own kids and not deal with my own kids for the next couple of hours? Primarily not. And then also, I can honestly also say the money aspect as well. Like the teachers are so underpaid for the amount of work that they do. Yes. I always say without teachers, they're like there's nothing. You're not gonna have a doctor without a teacher.
Even the president.
You're not, and they're so underpaid, undervalued. And I'm like, okay, for the work that I know I can give to these children, I deserve more.
Yeah.
And if I'm not gonna get it, I don't want to say, well, not to them. No, it is what it is. But I need to just be valued. Yes. I'm giving my best to these children. I also need the best coming from someone else.
Yeah.
And it's also just like, okay, can I see myself doing it for 40 plus years? No. I can't. But can I see myself treating children or even like dealing with like even newborn kids?
Yeah.
I can see myself doing that because as long as I'm helping kids, that's what my goal is. It's just to make sure I am helping children, whether if it's in a social aspect, a medical field aspect, teaching. And if medical does not work out for me, I can go back to teaching. I have the opportunity to do either one of them.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm with the kids, that's what I'm with. But the medical, I wanted to do that coming out of high school.
Yeah.
But then children caught my attention, but I'm like, okay, I definitely want to go back to the medical field for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. It's interesting, like the reason why you're doing what you're doing, because as much as you love kids and you want to be around with kids, you want to do it at a place where you see yourself growing. You're ambitious, so you just don't want to sit with kids your whole life. You want to see growth. You get me right? And I was speaking with a friend of mine who's into like teaching kids, and he's like, some teachers literally their pays don't even go up. It's like that for life.
You can have a master's.
Degree, and it's that's what it's gonna be like. There's no room for growth.
No.
Yeah.
I think the most you can become is a superintendent, maybe, but that's not. That's like your chances isn't always gonna be as high.
Yeah.
Yes, you can become a teacher, assistant principal, a principal, a superintendent. Yes, but is there as much growth as you can get with the medical? No.
That's true.
No.
That's true.
You can grow in the teaching field, but it'll never be as high as a medical in the medical field for sure.
And honestly, that's what affects teachers too. Like
many of them feel unappreciated.
Yeah, they don't feel. Yeah, they don't feel recognized. If you look at, like you said, there would be no one without a teacher.
They wouldn't. I would not be as knowledgeable as I am without a teacher.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't be without a teacher. Like a doctor wouldn't be without a teacher. But again, they're undervalued.
Still undervalued, underpaid. And the kids it's funny that these kids that they thought eventually would become presidents and stuff like that, and still don't think about that sector in life and say, hey, I was taught by this beautiful teacher that brought me to where I am. I mean, no one gives credit to teachers, but the sad thing is they put blames on teachers.
They're
you get right. Quick to blame
instead of quick to praise.
Yeah, quick to blame instead of quick to praise. Yeah, because the friend of mine I was talking about, I wanted to follow him on social media, and he's like, I don't use my name on social media. And I was like, why? He's like, because I'm a teacher, and I don't want kid to follow me and say, because if he says there's some things that they blame teachers for doing, like they think teachers shouldn't have a social life, because they're like, oh, kids are looking up to you and stuff like that. So he doesn't have an Instagram with his name. But he has an Instagram with
Understandable.
someone else's name because he's like, I don't want someone kids to follow me and say, oh, I saw my teacher doing that. And then the next day, the parents come to school and say, oh, why were you doing this and that? And then now my kid tried it, so he might lose his job or something. And I was like, so that's,
Yeah.
and this is someone that loves what he does, but now
Is restricted on his own personal
it's
life.
like a disability to him in some areas that he can't really be who he express himself the way he wants to and stuff like that, and that makes no sense. The system really has to change
It
because
does.
yeah,
Because we are just providing so much knowledge and guidance to these young ones
for real.
for them to become the best person that they can be, but no one's telling us or praising us or even
telling you.
appreciating or
Yeah.
valuing
Yeah.
us teachers. And what made me also want to become a teacher is not only because of my younger sister, but because there aren't many teachers who are women and women of color. Like I wouldn't like if I was to pursue my teaching career, I'm teaching in Dorchester,
Gotcha.
where there are minorities, where there are
Wow.
low income children, because I was one of them, and
Yeah.
giving them what I did not. I didn't have many teachers of color. Many teachers who were people of color. I can count maybe 5 of them
Wow.
out of my 12 years of
Out
being
of
in
your
school.
12 years of
You know, and having multiple different teachers.
Different
you know,
teachers,
no,
yeah.
I can count about 5, and I just wanted to be that person of color who's also a woman who can give back to these children in this low income area.
Wow.
You know, so it's on the fence.
Let's shift gears here a little bit to go into this because you just said something. The teachers of the fact that there are no teachers of women of colors, and then also the fact that you wanna teach in Dorchester. You get right. It's a very. Why do you think there are like teachers that are not? They have less colored teachers in schools. Do you have an idea?
As to why there are less teachers who are
Yeah.
of color.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of teachers who are of color, but there are a lot of them aren't women.
Oh, okay.
Are
Yeah,
there
yeah,
or
yeah. I
not
mean, women.
women?
Yeah. I was talking women.
That's honestly a great question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why there aren't many women who are teachers of color, people of color. I'm not too sure why. I'm not.
It could be because of empowerment. Like, if some people would love to do this, you get me right? But when you look at it and you look at your life, you compare, like, if I take this route, you get me right? What's in it for me? I mean, I love to do this, but do I see myself being appreciated, respected,
Respected,
loved, and no, then why do I want to do that? And then, go the other route. Trust me, you're not the only one who has this drive, this ambition. I know there's so many women out there with the same level that I feel if they're put into this situation, the world will be a better place. Dorchester will be a better place, But it's just like, at the end of the day, we gotta eat.
Yeah.
You get
Yes,
we
yes,
have
yes,
to
yes.
eat, and it's funny that the government don't realize that you get teachers and all that needs to eat the same way.
That these doctors are.
These doctors
Like, I
are
think they should be paid the same.
same. Yeah.
Me personally, I
Yeah.
just personally, like, doctors are treating people, they're helping people. Teachers are helping children teachers are second parents.
Yes.
They are helping kids from these young ages,
Young
up
ages.
until adults.
Yeah.
You know what
Some
I mean?
parents don't even spend time with your kids. Teachers do.
Teachers are the second
Teachers are
parent.
the-
I always
yeah.
say that they are the second parent, and I wish that there were more teachers who are not only people of color but also women. But I don't. I'm not gonna say I don't understand, but I mean they're undervalued, underappreciated. I
underappreciated.
understand that part.
Yeah.
I understand, like, we have teachers who are not from Dorchester. Like, even like for me, my teachers, many of them were not from Dorchester.
Yeah.
Many of them were white. We have teachers who are driving from Wellesley
Yeah.
to come to Dorchester, or coming from Marlboro to come to Dorchester.
That don't even understand.
That understand the culture,
The
how the
culture,
community
yeah.
works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we can't, honestly, like, what can we speak about? We can't relate. And that's why I really wish that I did
all.
have more teachers who are people of color, and I wish that they were more in the schools as well. I will say, though, now I do believe I do see more teachers of color now in schools than there was when
yeah.
I was in, like, public schools as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I wish, and that's why I definitely do think it will get better as the years go on.
Yeah.
And I hope it does.
Yeah,
'Cause these
yeah.
kids in these areas, they need it.
Yes.
They need it.
Yes. They need more teachers like, you and those that are passionate. And then those teachers also need more help from the government.
Yes, I agree.
So it's like we all need ourselves to, fully, because you can bring me to a field that I, and do something like that and not pay me enough. That's why eventually teachers change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
they go in there first says, oh, I love this job, I love my job, and then they start realizing that there's no room for growth, and from there they start doing, like I know a friend of mine that he would pay. He owns a company and he believes that if you work for me, I just want you to work for me. I would pay you anything for you to work for me to get your full attention. You get me, right? And imagine teachers working in a situation like that where they have to keep side jobs. You get me, right? They have
Many of them also
yeah. So it's like they are not concentrated on doing one thing while they are at work. They are still trying to get their other job done. You get it, right? Their side job done, or they're trying to go. Okay, once I'm done with class, so they close class earlier so they can make it to their other job. And it's not because they don't want to. They want to be here, but at the end of the day, they still have bills to pay.
They have to be
financially.
Like, there are teachers who are. So in order to be a teacher, you have to obtain your master's degree within 5 years.
Wow.
You have to have it within 5 years.
You have to have all that. So you're basically getting qualified like a doctor, like a regular person.
To get paid, not as much.
Not as much,
You're telling someone they have 5 years to get this highest level of education that they need.
Yeah.
But we're not
being...
The pay doesn't equal.
It doesn't equal.
So there are teachers who are working 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Yes.
And going to school after that.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
For their master's degree.
Yeah.
For those who didn't want to do it, who fresh out of their bachelor's, who just wanted to jump into teaching. So we have teachers who are working long hours, going to school after that, grading papers after that, coming up with lesson plans after that, doing homework on the weekends. You know what I mean? Teachers are so undervalued and underappreciated.
Yeah.
And it really sucks. It sucks. It's not fair.
How can
Teachers work their ass off. Ass off. Not only for themselves, but these children as well.
Yeah.
For them to not be appreciated.
Yeah. How can we help, and, make this better where teachers can be truly appreciated and stuff like that? Do you have an idea?
Well, first is to absolutely pay them more. It's to pay them more.
Yeah.
And just to even just support. Support, because there are teachers who also need it.
Yeah.
Some teachers need support. Just ensuring that they're okay, like not only like financial wise, but they're mental. Working with children can be very exhausting, especially while obtaining an additional degree. It can be very exhausting. So just make sure that they're okay mentally, paying them more, and just making sure that they are their best selves, or being their best selves as well. I will say there are benefits to being a teacher for sure. Yeah. But it still just does not equal for the amount of work that they put into that career.
And most importantly, dealing with kids.
And even with teaching children, because again, it can be exhausting.
Yeah, it is exhausting.
It can be exhausting. You have children who come from different backgrounds. Children who come from different cultures. Children, you have a child who English is not his first language, and you're working with him.
I'm telling you.
You know what I mean? And then you're that one teacher when you have at least 2 kids who are children who don't speak English as the first language, but then you have 17 other children, and there's one of you. And there should at least be 2 of you. You know what I mean? Like it's like
someone like you, fresh out of 2 weeks training, and then boom,
thrown into
the lion's den.
I'm definitely appreciated for that though, because that gave me a full-on experience. Like, okay, well, this is what it will be like in my first year of teaching. Yeah, my coach, she had told me she cried every day. Wow. Every day for her first year, because like when you're in there, it's like I don't want to say every man for themselves, but you kind of got to figure it out. Yeah, you got to figure out, okay, how the children are. Yes, figure out how you're going to approach it. It's not easy. it's not. She cried every day. She told me, I'm like, well, I feel you, because I cry for that 6 weeks every day. Every day. So I feel you. It's not easy, and I think teachers, they deserve all the respect. All the respect. Although there are a few little bad apples, of course. Like, I remember having a teacher who told me, well, I don't care what you do, I still get paid regardless.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Look, there are, and most of those people didn't start like that. Mm-hmm. They discovered that they were putting too much energy into something that was paying too little.
That, or they're not from the community.
Yeah.
That teacher who had said that to me, she wasn't even from Dorchester. She wasn't even from Boston. she was living out. You
Oh,
know what I
shit.
mean? She was not. She was like,
She
oh, I
was-
still get paid regardless. Like, okay, thank you for telling me that. But it's like, okay, that speaks more on you than it does on us children. You know what I mean? It shows that what you're in for prior to actually helping us or trying to figure out the problem or even mediate what the problem is. You know what I mean? So there
Yeah.
are a few bad apples, of course, but even as a whole, teachers are undervalued.
Value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay, so let's go to the bitter side of this conversation. Okay, let's talk about some of the failures that you've had. You know, in these experiences, like,
Yeah.
you know, what are those moments that, you know, were like too difficult for you? You're like, I don't think I can do this. You know, or what are those failures? You know, and like when you first started this, just for someone listening, you know, in a situation like this, where what were those instances that you know encountered challenges and failures, and how did you know get over it?
In what aspect? In teaching or like life in general?
No, like in teaching with kids and dealing with kids.
A few challenges I've had. Oh, wow. Okay. I've had a few challenges. I can say one of them was, this was actually my third year of teaching with the children, 8th grade reading. There was one child who I just lost my patience with him.
Oh boy.
I lost my patience with him. He was a child who he was from Dorchester, but he was also corrupted by older people by getting him into a gang.
Oh wow.
So he would come to the program, he'd bully people, he would be very disrespectful to anyone.
Yeah.
So there was the one time I had class, I'd asked him to do his work. He just would not do his work. And he stood up and he got into my face and he said, well, I'm not going to do my work. And honestly, like me being the person, like it took a lot for me to say and say, okay, who the fuck are you talking to? I'm like, okay. And I think I did not handle that first situation the right way. Like I just yelled and I kicked him out.
Yeah.
And I didn't even bother to have a conversation with him after. The right thing I should have done was let him know that I will have a conversation with him after and try to figure out what the situation is or what the problem is or what did I do wrong to make you feel that way.
Oh wow.
That was a big failure for me. And then just even like raising my voice, because again, it's about how you speak with children. Raising my voice, but I definitely can say I let my feelings get the best of me. Like having that child who's as tall as me, and I'm pretty tall, in my face, telling me what he's gonna do, what he's not gonna do. Like, no, it took a lot for me for sure. If I can go back and fix the situation, again, I would say we're gonna have a conversation, and I would actually take the time to have a one-on-one conversation with him. But in that moment, I didn't even bother to do it. And I think for me, that was a failure. Absolutely. Because that could have been an opportunity for me to build a relationship with that child and to figure out how to approach the situation better the next time.
Wow.
However, I will say that because he was in my class regardless. Like he was in my class for the next coming days. I eventually took the time after I got out of my feelings. Took the time to actually have a conversation with him and figure. And that's how I learned so much about him that I did. And then our relationship got much better towards the ending of it.
Oh wow. So
excuse me.
So you said it was a failure for you at that moment, but like, is there any excuses at all for you? Like, because one thing we need to understand is we are humans too, and age-wise, you were still young. You know, you were not this person you were back then. You get right now. You're better now. You're thinking better. Like you know. So, is there an excuse for that? Like, you know,
there is no excuse because I was 21.
Okay.
So I was an adult, and I knew how. This was my third year, so I knew how to do it. But I definitely said there was no excuse. I just let my feelings get the best of me, having someone challenge me in that way to where I don't let any adult get into my face. I'm not gonna let a little kid get into my face, and that was my mentality at the point. I'm like, well, no one else does it, so you're not gonna do it.
That's an ego thing.
You know, it was bad.
Yeah.
I should have never had that. I should have okay, let me take a step back and figure out what the situation was. I was 21, so there really is no excuse for it. Wow. All I can do was learn from it, which I did. Which I did. As far as any other failures go, I mean, I failed numerous times along the way. I definitely wouldn't say. I can say one thing I'm proud of is I didn't give up. I did not give up at all. As hard as I got, I did not give up. Failures, there were a ton.
Sorry.
Should
drink some water.
Try not to die here.
He's trying not to die. Don't worry,
Not
not today.
even as far as failures go, I mean, I guess I could say feeling a few of my lesson plans not being as consistent as I should have been. But yeah, that's kind of really it. I didn't do it for much long, so they weren't a ton, but just like small, minor ones.
Minor ones, yeah.
Excuse me.
That's cool. Also, like, we spoke about the payment, teachers not getting paid. What are some other challenges that, people in this field go through? Like daily, dealing with kids and, situations like that.
I can definitely say not having enough support.
Support, yeah.
And leaving away from the financial aspect,
Yeah.
not having enough support. Like again, like having one teacher for 25 kids.
25 kids, yeah.
25 hyperactive children.
Yeah.
The support for sure. Like I can also say like the guidance as well. Like just learning how to deal with certain aspects of teaching for sure. Yeah, I can definitely just say like a support. Definitely support for sure. And I also think as far as like a government thing goes, so in order to be a teacher, you have to pass all of your MTELs.
Oh.
MTELs is a state exam for any teacher that you have to take them all. You have to take them. Some teachers have to take 3 depending on your age group of children.
Gotcha.
Like if I was to do, if I was to go pursue teaching, I would have to take 3 of them. Excuse me.
Yep.
3 MTELs. And they're not easy. They're not easy. And if you fail, you kind of, I don't want to say you can't become a teacher, but it's a longer process. Right. Like if you pass, thankfully with COVID, like a few of my classmates who are teaching, they were able to take one of them and then they can teach. Yeah. They can, but they have to obtain the other two. Yeah. I know one of my friends who's a 3rd grade teacher, she still hasn't taken a few of her MTOs. But it's coming up to where they have to. And I was in class 2 weeks ago when they had a teacher, one of my classmates had said that her, where she took her practicum at, one of the assistant teachers who had been teaching for so long, not even assistant, but like a teacher, been teaching for so long, were saying that if she does not take her MTEL, she can't teach anymore. She's been teaching for at least 30 years.
Sorry.
Excuse me, without having her MTELs done. And I guess if she doesn't take it, she can't continue to teach. No matter, that was 30 years of teaching already. Many people don't remember half that stuff. Like, the test was hard for me. Looking at it, I'm like, whoa. Yeah. So imagine being 30 years in. So that's a government thing that I think that has to be fixed and changed, the requirements.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I just think standardized tests in general is just stupid. It's just saying how much you can remember. Yeah. In my personal opinion, like I think the MTELs, some of them can be helpful, maybe, sure, but I just don't think it's necessary.
In real life?
No, not at all. The master's degree, obtaining that, sure, maybe, but it's like, why get a master's if you're not going to pay me more? You're going to pay me more. You know, yeah. My bachelor's is doing the exact same thing that the master's can do. It's just a different name.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. So it's like you could have, yeah.
That's the problem. So those are government things. But I think as far as what, like, certain districts can do, it just provide more support for teachers. Aside from the money, more support. Teachers need it. Yeah. Dealing with children it's not easy. Facts. It's not easy. So, and if you're one person in a class full of 25, that can be exhausting. Gotcha. Especially if you have like 3rd graders or kindergartners, it can be exhausting. So I think teachers need more support for sure.
And you spoke about how you in a class with kids from different backgrounds and stuff like that. You know, where English was in the first language. Yes. Like, how did you survive in a situation like that? What did you do?
So with that one, I was in my teaching practicum. This was last year. I was in a practicum where I was like an intern. I was an intern with a lead teacher, and she had 2 children who English was not their first language, and she would have another teacher come in, but to teach a different subject, like math or science. She was by herself, and I'm like, okay, well, he's struggling. And with the children who English is not their first language, they get frustrated very quickly, and I understand why. Because it's like they can't comprehend as quickly as a student whose English is their first language. Yeah. So I remember this child, he got so frustrated. God. He would cry, he would get mad, and I can help to an extent. You know what I mean? English is my first language. I can help to an extent, So when I watched him get so frustrated, they had called in some help to help him, and they took him out and taught him separately. I'm like, had there had just been 2 teachers in there from the beginning, one who has a diverse in their language, that would also be a plus. Or even if not, but that can just work with him while she services the other children who English is their first language. Instead of having this child not only miss out on some education pieces, but also not get so frustrated. When children are so frustrated at that age, they just become blank to anything. They don't want to do nothing because now they're upset and now they're frustrated, which I saw happen with that child. So teachers need more support in their classroom with additional bodies, for sure. So a lot of children who English isn't their first language, they get frustrated so fast. So fast.
Because they know they're behind, and then also they still don't understand.
Yes, they don't understand.
And it's like, it's not my fault that English is not my first language, you know? Yeah.
Yep. But it is the teacher's fault that now that this student is in this classroom to teach him to his highest potential. Wow.
So the teachers do all that because now they're at fault, but they still... It's like a lot of work. You walk like, it's like the saying, you walk like an elephant and then get paid like an ant, you know?
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Because you taking all this, even these circumstances that you didn't even sign up for, you know, like that you were working with kids. I mean, you know all this, you know, but like everyone still, you know, but you still come in there and then still being paid less and not being valued enough.
And not being appreciated.
Yeah.
I will say it is appreciative when you are knowing that the children are learning.
And
then you have their parents is coming in and building the relationship with their parents, letting them know how their child is so happy to tell them what they learned at school.
That's true.
Or to explain the homework to their parents. Like, that stuff is very rewarding.
Yeah, it is rewarding.
And it feels good to me sure that, like wow, this kid is learning from me.
Yeah.
I'm making him happy in my classroom. Like, now his parents are happy.
Gotcha.
That part feels good, but then it's also like, okay, well, damn, now I did this. Like, help me.
Help
you know
me.
What I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it felt like, even with my internship, I had one child. His math was not his thing, and I helped him. And we had a parent night where the parents would come in and then we would go over with the child and the parent with the work that they have done. I had one mom. She said that her child is very he's not behind, but he's not as quick as other children which puts him down a lot. And even like within normal school, he shuts out completely. I spoke with this parent for an hour. And this was way beyond the time of actually the event itself. She was crying to me and telling me how happy that she was that he was in my class learning. And this is just for me for 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
This was only 6 weeks. So she was just so happy to see not only how passionate I am with the children, with the child, how he's learning from me, how he's going home and telling her about this. Until this day, I still see this kid walking up and down Washington Street, and it makes me so happy.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh my goodness! Like, when I tell you, it's very rewarding. This is only 6 weeks. So imagine an entire school year, you know. So that part's rewarding, but also on the back end, it's just like, dang. Like, I don't feel appreciated by people who I also.
Thank you is not enough.
You know.
Thank you is not enough. Seeing a parent cry. Yeah, it's you know, it makes you feel good, but still, it's not gonna pay the bill.
When you put it that way.
Yo, we have. Okay. So what do you think? What do we think? What kind of teachers do you think we need now in our school system? You know, those that, you know, do it for the passion, or, you know, those that do it for the occupation?
Those who do it for those who are passionate, those who truly care. We also need teachers that can relate to students. Teachers that are not coming from the west of Massachusetts to come and teach in Dorchester. We need teachers from the city to where these teachers can relate to and
that's true, have
conversation with, because honestly, and not even to sound rude or ignorant, what can I relate to from Miss Wood coming from Marlboro? I
like how you call Miss Wood.
Or prior to Miss Jones from Dorchester. You know what I mean? Like, someone who's from here and who can relate culture-wise. Those who can... We experience the exact same gunshot hearings every night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we need teachers that are from the city, from the neighborhood, and those who truly, really do care about kids. Because we can have Miss Wood who only cares about getting her check at the end of the day, prior to Miss Jones who really cares. You know what I mean? So we need teachers who are passionate, who actually really do care, and are just like from the neighborhood that where children can actually relate to and have conversations with. You know, we need teachers of color,
Yeah.
men and women. That's what we
because
need.
if a man of color like talks to a kid, you know, from the hood, like, hey, look, I know what you're going through, I know what you've been through, you know, you share those stories with them, they feel it.
Yeah.
Other than when someone that they know doesn't even, it's like,
Just
and
like,
you're trying to come,
Yeah.
nah, just stop it, just go, go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we just need teachers who really and genuinely do care.
Genuinely do care. Yeah, I pray, you know, like, you know, a lot of people realize this and have the same mindset towards education and trying to give back to the community in the system like that. Yeah. Okay. So it's a little bit personal, but like, what does success mean to you as a person?
Oh wow, I've never thought about that.
Yeah, I actually thought of this question while I was. Oh no, what's a personal question that I might ask T when she's there? Yeah, let's just throw this on her. What does success mean to you?
Success
as a person?
to me.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good question. Success to me is me being happy with where I'm at in life, achieving all of my goals that I've had written on that paper, reaching my highest potential in every aspect.
Gotcha.
That's success to me. Like, of course, being financially stable, that's for everyone.
Yeah.
But me being happy with how far I've come.
Yes.
How far I have gotten.
Yes.
Me being happy with just the person that I am. That success to me is like not being the same person I was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, like elevating in all aspects. That's what
Gotcha.
success is to me.
That makes sense. I like that. And what's the goal for you? So now with this new field you're about to go in, you know, how sure are we that you're not gonna change the last week before?
This is why I'm very spontaneous. We just never know.
Yeah,
We never know. We never know.
Yo.
Let's hope and pray.
Yeah.
After I get this
You get this
BSN that I don't want to go back to the criminal justice.
I am not surprised. You love school. Like.
But I honestly, I can say, because medical is what I want to do initially out of high school.
Yeah.
I think this is something I'll actually stick with. And if I don't, education or social work, or we never know, the criminal justice system might be calling me. We never know. But I can honestly say, I think a BSN, that's my goal right now.
Yeah.
And becoming a certified nurse practitioner is for sure that's just what I'm going to do.
No, but like, I don't have worries for you about where you're going to, because I know wherever you're going to, you're going to fill up a space that is missing. You get it, right? You're always after something that was missing, that wasn't there, you know. So regardless if it's criminal justice, because even when you spoke to me about that side of it, I was like, wow, that's another, like, that's a powerful, you know, something that people still need to get on too. You get me, right? So, hey, regardless, if you change, just let me know so I can have you on this podcast.
I'll let you know.
And we update and talk about the new.
T's long,
because
indecisive life journey.
No, for even the you know, the first one, the criminal justice aspect is an amazing point of view, like where you're coming from, and that's something I want us to have another day, you know, talk about. So maybe, yeah, maybe
because the way things are going right now, maybe.
Okay. And do you mind, like, how can people reach out to you? You know, do you want to put your social media or something?
Oh yeah, so I'm on Instagram. It's t.willis, WILLIS, and then there is 1_ after that. I had to think about that for a second.
Oh, I didn't even.
1_ It says t.willis_.
_.
Yeah, so I'm primarily just on Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram right now.
Hey guys, go pay her a visit, and if you know, you guys saw where she's coming from, and hey, you never know who, you know, might hit you up and give you some, you know, gig or something, you know. But TaNaizha, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I know you have something else to go do, and I hope you're not late.
Thank you for having me.
I was looking at the time, and oh shit, 12:30.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode.
Guys.
It was a blast. I loved it, and I'll see y'all later. Okay, peace and be blessed. T.